Happy Friday, everyone. Although Miss Luna doesn't think it's a very good Friday. Luna, what's wrong? Shall we go? No. I had to carry her from the house to the car this morning because even the concrete was apparently too cold to walk on. Normally she's a bit shy of the frosty grass, but even the concrete this morning was apparently too cold. She'll come right. Right, Henry's day today. Let's do this. Come on. Me to help you. Yeah? Do you want me to help? Is it too cold? Where are you going? You want to take the blanket with you? Come on. Give you a hand. Ugh. Luna. 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 What's over here? We was too slow, Luna. You could have got them. Good morning, Lucy. Look at that sunrise. Good morning, Bo. Good morning, Mr. Henry. Wow, it's taken me by surprise. I was just listening to the radio and just heard that the Queen has passed away overnight. It's actually struck me a little bit more than I thought it would. Probably because it's been a rough couple of months for our family, and wow, yeah, that's my radio's going all static. Yeah. Oh well. She's obviously lived a long and successful life, but still very sad for the family, very sad for England, and obviously, yeah, just very sad all round. It'll give me something to think about while we're walking around this morning, Henry, won't it? You know, I never turn the radio on in the morning. Don't even think about it. And then just this one morning, I think, oh, I'll turn the radio on. And I hear that world-changing news. Makes me wonder whether Mum had anything to do with me thinking that I should turn the radio on. She knew how much I liked the Queen. And she did too, actually. She had a lot of time for the royal family. She actually met Prince Philip at one of the international events that we went to. She said he was a lovely guy. I mean, what that family have done for carriage driving, no other person or family has done that. If it wasn't for Prince Philip, I don't think combined driving as we know it would be around these days. You coming, Luna? Wait, Henry. Oops, sorry, sweetheart. She was 96 and she hadn't been well for a while now. Yeah, I can't explain it. It's so today we'll do a bit more working towards what could be described as dressage, I guess. We'll walk for quite a while and then we'll do a bit of dressage, I guess, or schooling, we'll also call it. Henry's also got his quarter shadow today again because, like I said, it was a frost. And it's a beautiful day. It's a good Friday, very good Friday, other than obviously the Queen fasting. So I've booked in my first clinic of the season, heading up to Northland here in New Zealand on the first weekend of October. Apparently the lessons got booked out within kind of a couple of hours of me letting the organiser know that I could be up there that weekend, so that's pretty exciting. And I've got a couple of more clinics potentially lined up for later in the month, and heading to Masterton or Wairarapa in December for judging. So not only have I got a full plate in my hands in terms of getting these two fit and ready, I've also got clinics, lessons here in my arena, and also judging. But in terms of the first event for us, I'll be taking both Bo and Henry hopefully down to, it was going to be held at Foxton, but Foxton Racecourse, which is where the venue was, is actually underwater at the moment, and they have said it's not going to be available for the rest of the year. But the event will be down there somewhere, which is about 6 hours a drive, 6 or 7 hours drive from here. And it's on Labour weekend, so that's the 3rd weekend of October. And it'll be graded dressage, a 1 hour combined drive, which is like a mini combined drive, and a pod, which is obstacles, dressage and cones, and the score gets combined for the overall winner. So I'll take both of the boys to that, but I'll drive them both as singles, because those type of events I tend to try and focus singles, and it's only really combined drives that I really try and get the pair going for, because the schooling events, like what I call a schooling event, is really good for the boys to do independently, and it gives them some one-on-one time with me, which is really, really good. And also the graded dressage, both Henry and Beau are at different levels. Henry's at intermediate, whereas Beau's a level down at prelim. So it just makes it easier if they're singles. Otherwise, if I did a pair, we would be back in training right down the bottom. So Henry would get quite fidgety trying to get him to do some of those training tests. He likes a little bit more of a challenge than that. Anyway, let's get into this. So a couple of people have asked if I could film the aids that I'm doing with my hands when I'm asking for Henry to do different things. So I'll I don't know about this, but we'll see. Okay, Henry, trot on. Okay, so I'm going to ask for a canter cone just up in the corner up here. So what I'm doing is I'm getting him to bend the right way to start with. Henry, over. Half halt, and that's cheating, Henry. This is the problem with Henry. He quite often knows what I'm thinking before I even ask him, which is cool, but it leads to problems in the dressage arena, I can tell you. Henry, okay, we'll do a change of rein. Henry, straight, 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 change. Henry's quite good at flying changes, so that obviously you're not going to do with a youngster. And trot. Good boy. So when I'm working forwards an extended trot, I've taken up a bit more of a contact. So as you can see, my hands have gone up the reins a little bit. I've actually got some coloured reins with different bands on them that help show that a lot easier. But so I've asked for a bit more collection, sponging with that inside rein to get him to bend the right way, and when he doesn't, tell him to bend the right way. Alright, so I've got quite a firm contact now going into an extension trot. I'll do an extended trot up the centre line, asking for bend with that inside, holding the outside. The outside rein does the turning, not the inside rein. Straighten them up, straight. Henry, take more of a contact. Yes, I know, you know what we're doing. And step out. Henry, step out. Henry, step out. So as you can see, come around, Henry. Contrary to popular belief, when you're asking for an extended trot, you actually need more contact than you do when you are asking for a working trot. And people go, well, why is that? You're asking them to go longer. Surely you want a longer rein. No, you do not want a longer rein, because what you want is them not to get strung out, but rather more like a jet boat. So if you imagine a jet boat cruising down a river at a steady pace, it's flat. It's just puttering along. And that's what a working trot is. As soon as you want to go into an extended trot or a collected trot, you need to put the power in, which means dropping that jet boat's engine down into the water further. And that's what we're doing by shortening our reins. and asking for more engagement. We're getting that bum, that lovely, lovely cobby bum that Henry's got to engage. So shorten, and you can only do this if they know what you mean when you've done the basic training in terms of shortening your reins. Shortening your reins doesn't mean go slower. That's a common mistake that a lot of people make when they're training their horses. They think, you know, long rein equals fast. Henry, short rein equals slow. No, that's not what you want. You want a loose contact to be a happy trot, like this. Steady. You see, he just cruises along with a long rein, happy, not going any faster. As soon as I pick up my contact, Henry, and I give him warning to tell him that that's what I'm doing. I'm not just going to yank my hands in. And when I say contact, I mean I'm not hauling on his mouth. Henry's got an incredibly soft mouth, so the slightest change of contact he notices. And as you can see, he comes up into that frame that everybody is familiar with in terms of Henry's way of movement. So I'll ask for a collected trot now, and you'll see the difference. Henry, so I put my hands into one rein, quite a short contact. I haven't asked for it yet. I'm just asking him to get a little bit more impulsive and get up on his toes. And then when I do ask, Henry, pick, 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 and I'm just swishing at his tummy to let him know that he needs to engage those tummy muscles. Remember, this is kind of the first session of me asking for anything like this year, so it's not exactly perfect, but I got a difference, which I'm happy about. Now Henry's fit enough and strong enough, just in his natural fitness and strength, to do a full circle. However, if this was bow, I'd only do probably a quarter of a circle. Henry, and then when we come out of it, what we're looking for is a clear difference in pace. Henry, trot on, trot on, and he is feeling good, so please bear with, because obviously first schooling session of the season. Henry, and then because I know he likes doing extended trots, he can have a reward. I've been such a good boy. Henry, shorten my reins. Henry, step out. Step out. Henry, step out, step out, step out, step. Good boy. And over. Change. Change. Good boy. Good boy. Trot on. Henry. Now we'll do a walk transition. Now, your walk transitions should be forward, not back. In that you should have positive energy transitioning from your trot to walk. It's not a downward trans, it is a forward trans into a walk. Henry, walk on. Walk on. And that wasn't very good because we had that moment where he was quite flat. But that's okay. Right, because he's working hard, we'll give him a nice stretchy walk. I try and do that quite frequently. And I'll relax my hands on the rein. So as you can see, there's no contact whatsoever. He's just supermarket walking is what Mum used to call it, which was her version of dawdling. Okay, I'm going to ask him to pick up into a working walk. Henry, walk on. I quite like to use the corners of the arena as places to ask for transitions like this between, say, a long loose rein walk and a working walk, just because I find it's easier for the horses to pick themselves up rather than on a straight line. We do 9/10 of our schooling on a circle, in all honesty. Okay, walk on, Henry. Now, Henry has a word that we use when we're in the dressage arena, when he is in meant to be doing a working walk. Gosh, it's hard to get tongue around sometimes. And it's march. So I'm going to let him just go at the walk that he thinks he should be going at, and then show you what the difference between that and the M-A-R-C-H word is. Right, Henry, march on, march on, good boy, march on. Now I don't know if you can see that in the video, but march on, Henry. There's definitely a difference. You can see it from here, but sometimes these things don't show up in the video. Anyway, okay, we will move into a trot around at the top of what would normally be the arena. Walk on, Henry. March on. And we might try for what we call our stretchy trot. So the dressage movements have started to incorporate long rein trotting. Henry, shorten my reins. Henry, trot on. Over, as for the bend. Henry, trot on. So the long rein movements are generally half a 40-metre circle, and they ask for the horse to stretch down and take up a long rein. So I'll get him going into what I think is a decent working trot. Henry, he probably thinks this is a decent working trot, but it's not. We need a bit more oomph. Henry, trot on. Trot on. Henry, stretch down. Steady. Stretch down. Steady, round. Henry, round. You see, he's not really doing it. He doesn't quite understand, because this is a new movement from last season. He doesn't really understand what I'm asking at this point, so we'll just keep on working at this over the season. Good boy. When he does take a little bit of a downward stretch, I'll reinforce that with positive reinforcement. If that didn't make any sense, I will reward him with positive reinforcement. Henry, stretch down. Round. To try and get him to do it, what I'll do is I'll transition between the longer rein and a shorter rein, or more contact. Because what he'll realise is when he's in the longer rein, it's actually easier for him to stretch. Which is, he's going to want to stretch because we're working. It's like us at the gym. When we're working muscles that haven't been worked for a while, we feel like we need to stretch them out. So, get him to work. Release the not release, I've still got contact. The long range stretchy trot does not ask you to have no contact. It's one of the big things that I saw last season when people were driving. They would just chuck the reins. That's not what the trot needs. The trot still needs contact, but what you're trying to get them to do is go longer in their contact. So picking them up again. Trot on, Henry. And we'll go wide. Do something else and come back to it. Henry. Canter. Good boy. Canter on. Canter on. Henry straight. And trotting. Henry change. Henry canter. Good boy. Henry straight and trot. Change. Henry canter. Good boy. Henry listening. Henry shortening my reins because I'm going to ask him for an extended canter now. Henry Canter on. Canter on. Canter on. And steady. Canter on. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Hard work when you're not that fit, eh? Good boy. Trot on. Henry, walk on. Walk on. So that walk transition, again, wasn't very good. We lose too much energy. Ideally, a walk transition would have the same energy coming through from the trot into your walk. Something that will progress with fitness, I'm not going to lie. He's obviously going to get better with maintaining that energy and that impulsion once he gets a bit fitter. It's one of the things that people underestimate is the amount of fitness that you actually need to be able to do graded dressage, especially in harness. They are working very hard, and they need a certain amount of fitness. You can't just haul them out of the paddock in the start of the season a week or so before your first graded dressage event, because that's typically when the graded dressage is. It's earlier in the season, and expect them to be able to do the same type of level of dressage that you had them doing at the end of the season last year. It just doesn't work like that. They need to have fitness, they need to have strength, and obviously they need to have a little bit of training to remind them about what is expected. I'm super lucky with Henry. He has a memory like an elephant, doesn't forget anything. However, that also works against us, doesn't it, Henry? Because there's a particular rock at the Taupo Equestrian Park that I don't think Henry's ever going to forget about, because every time we see it, we have a meltdown. So it goes two ways. So what is the time? 34, so he's had nearly a quarter of an hour, so another 5 minutes or so and then he'll be done. So 20 minutes to start with at this point in the season is plenty for him. We don't want him to get all sore and seize up from too much work. You got to gradually work into it, and I would rather do 20 minutes of quality schooling and lots of walking included in that 20 minutes than wander around on the races for an hour, because he doesn't have shoes on and the races are quite stony and it's not really achieving anything. Obviously in a couple of weeks' time we'll start introducing pace work, which is an old saying, but it's essentially where we start working on our endurance and also high intensity training. So as part of that pace work they will do trotting around the circuit that we've got here for 10-15 minutes, and then we will do fast-paced cantering. I would say galloping, but realistically these guys don't know how to gallop, so fast cantering for 30 seconds to a minute, kind of the same length of time as what we'd expect them to do in a marathon obstacle, and then back to the trotting, the circuit again. We don't typically have marathon obstacles set up permanently, so it's not really a thing that we've got here. So we just do some fast-paced action in the paddock around a trough, or if there's a puddle, we'll work around a puddle or something like that. But other than that, the majority of that pace work is trot work. Very old school in our training. There's probably a lot more modern methodologies that we could adopt, but this training enabled my granddad to take racehorses overseas and do very, very well and win all sorts of steeplechase and hurdle races. So if it worked for getting racehorses fit, I think it works for getting carriage ponies fit. And obviously the racehorses didn't do as much schooling as what we do. They did do some schooling. Grandad believed that they should be schooled. Especially the jumpers. They got schooled over little show jumping jumps, and I think even got taken out to the local show jumping practice days and all sorts of stuff in the younger days when my dad was riding. So, okay, Henry. Okay, a bit more and then we'll call it a day. So, shortening my reins, asking for that energy before I ask for the transition. Henry, trot on. Good boy. And he did a really nice transition then, so the good boy is well deserved. Henry, over. Henry, over, good boy. So when I'm going around the corners, I want to see that arch, so I want to be able to see the inside of the corner of his inside eye. Good boy. And then when he's on the straight, his spine and neck and pole should all be straight. Henry, straight. Oi, straight. Henry, over. Round. Now I have a very bad habit, and you probably just saw it right then. This lovely little outside hand tends to go out here, so I have to really focus on keeping my hands together. Now I have a little trick for this, and I'll show you now. Henry, walk on. Oh. Hey, giving all away my secrets. Now, only do this if you are confident that your horse is going to be super safe and that you are perfectly fine to have this type of setup on. Henry, walk on. Henry, trot on. Now you can do this without being actually fixed. You can do it just with a little bit of elastic that is wrapped around your hands. That'll come undone very quickly. But I know that my hand is starting to stray. And this stems from my pony club riding days where my hand tended to stray. It's no surprise to me when I get comments on my dressage test saying, oh, your hands weren't together or something like that. Henry, over. Now the pressure from the elastic just gives me a muscle memory reminder to keep my friggin' hands together. Because there is nothing. Come on, trot on. Henry, there is nothing more to catch the judge's eye than having your hands so far apart that a truck could drive through them. Henry, 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 step out. Henry, come on, step out. Good boy. Trot on. Now your hands should be, and I'm going to be quite vulgar right now, your hands should be in line with your boobs. And if you ain't got boobs, your hands should be in line with where the boobs would be. And if your boobs are droopy, like mine, your hands should be where they would be if you were 16. So obviously my hands are too low. And I've just picked them up now. And you know what? Holding my hands together like this and holding them up in the right place is working my arm muscles. Something chronic. I can already feel, Henry, my muscles getting sore in my above my elbows, between my shoulders and my elbows. And that's what should happen. We're not just sitting here. We should actually be as fit as our horses. And this is just showing me that I need to get back to the gym. Henry, come on. So anyway, that's one of my little tricks that I won't use on new drivers, because obviously it's something that can go wrong quite quickly. But on experienced drivers that have got experienced ponies, I can use derivatives of this if your hands are, like I say, so far apart that we can drive a truck through. Alright, Henry, walk on. Walk on. Good boy. And you can just slip out of them, just like that. Alright, that's enough for today. Henry, walk on. Well, I hope that's been of some use to you. If there's anything else that you'd like to see in my vlogs, sing out, let me know. Always more than happy to share my knowledge and the way that I do things, and I'm not saying that way I do things is right or wrong, or that I'm not saying the way that other people do things is right or wrong, but I've had a fair amount of success and I'm happy to pass on my experience. Henry, walk on. Oh. Quarter to 8. You've had half an hour, Henry.